So I'm Amy Parliman, and I am living with metastatic lobular cancer. I had an early stage diagnosis, and then 5 years to the date, metastatic. I'll celebrate 5 and 10 years in about a week. So whoop whoop. And it's thanks to the research and all the other advocacy. So for me, being in the advocacy lounge, I was able to meet other advocates and also learn about other organizations. For instance, since I have lobular, and Surviving Breast Cancer does a lot of collaboration with all these other organizations. So I was able to meet people from the LBCA, which is the Lobular Breast Cancer Alliance. So I was able to do some networking with some of those people. I also met people from the IBC, which is the Inflammatory Breast Cancer International Consortium. SBC has a relationship with them. So I thought it was nice to be able to meet people with my similar diagnosis, but also meet other people from different places. And they had good food too, just so you know. Like that was one good thing. It was a place where you could go and relax, but also still be around other people. Hi. So a little bit of my background, I work in healthcare and I manage an imaging department. And living with lobular breast cancer, many of you know if you've been diagnosed with that, it's very hard to see on imaging. So it was great to be at San Antonio this year and to have that acknowledged. But I spoke to Dr. Mankoff, who was doing a lot of research behind the scenes. He spoke at a Hot Topics and he served on a couple of panels. And one of the things that he shared, and I wanted to start with before we start our presentation, is that technology is more advanced right now than our treatment options. So that is something to consider as we discuss what was learned at San Antonio. For those of us that attended the first time, we thought the conference was fabulous and we felt like recharged and regenerated. But others that have attended it previously, they didn't see something that really stuck out in their minds. It was just like a year for building. So for invasive lobular carcinoma and inflammatory breast cancer, they're kind of hard to see on imaging. But this year at San Antonio, this was a huge thing. The IBC presentation was selected for a People's Choice presentation, which was a big first. They felt like there are strides and steps being made for inflammatory breast cancer that are making a difference in the lives, and they want to be considered because oftentimes you hear about ductal carcinoma, but it's easier seen. And there's been more research and stuff because of the availability to see stuff on imaging. So now we're moving that needle for IBC and ILC. Right now, they're looking at genomic mutations and how it's different in ductal as opposed to IBC or lobular. For lobular, it's the E-cadherin that makes the difference. So they're now starting to study that. And so that is making a difference. And they're trying to look at gene mutations, but that's been hard to study in years past. So it takes, Abigail, maybe you can help me here. Like I know as they study, it takes years when they're doing these clinical trials for us to get research back. So sometimes as a patient, we're wanting an answer in a year, and sometimes it takes them 5 years, 10 years to really make a difference because they're doing the clinical trials or doing the study. So now they're looking at molecular level things and therapeutic options, and they're showing that there's more than 96 genes that are implicated with inflammatory breast cancer than in the non-inflammatory breast cancer. So there are options. You'll see on this slide that there is a published paper, so you can click that or research this to get more information. You can also go to the Inflammatory Breast Cancer International Consortium. They gave a presentation and a synopsis on things that were shared. They also have the posters for inflammatory breast cancer on their website, and they break them down and they explain them. There's also better education for our symptoms for lobular and inflammatory. because we don't necessarily have a lump or a bump that can be focused on. It's basically the patient has to share with the physician if they have changes, or sometimes for us, like our cancer tumor markers might shift. With lobular breast cancer, it's not easily visualized because it kind of grows in a sheet-like thing, and so it's very hard to see on imaging. But a reminder, ultimately, you as the patient, they're trying to make this a patient-centric focus, and you're ultimately the person that decides the treatment options that you're going to take. I'll give you a little history for me. I'm on my 65th treatment of my first line of treatment. I've had good response thus far. And I'm on Ibrance and Faslodex, but there's like different things in different studies. At one point, I've had the option to change treatments, but even at this conference, I was able to talk to some of the physicians, and many physicians feel like if you're on a treatment that works, you shouldn't change what is already working. You stay where you are. Make sure you're researching and that you're getting data from a reputable study. Another thing that Dr. Mankoff shared in one of the hot topic sessions with regards to lobular and inflammatory, that they're studying the amino acids to see what that is doing and how they can make adjustments with injecting for PET CTs. He also shared that for lobular breast cancer, that you need to have both types of PET CT. You need the one with FDG and the one with Seriana. At the Alamo Foundation sponsors the Hot Topic sessions, and they're every night. What they do is they bring people from the different sessions that were popular during the day, and they discuss and they break down all the information and explain it for the advocates. And then they also give you a chance to ask questions. So that was like a big thing for those of us that attended the first time as well, because there's so much data, so much science information, but they break it down on a level and tell you like key takeaways. So that was very nice. I'm looking over my notes. Another thing that they're coming up with for all types of cancer, but they should be able to make a difference for lobular and inflammatory. They're starting to do contrasted mammograms for patients. That'll be something that you'll see roll out. If you're in a small rural cancer center, they might not be using that yet because it's not the gold standard. So don't be discouraged, but if you feel like, as always, you could get a second opinion, but that's something that's just now rolling out, and they'll continue to study that over the next couple of years. For the Seriana PET CT, just want to put this out there. If you are on some kind of, for instance, if you're on fulvestrant, for you to be able to get an accurate study, sometimes you have to come off of treatment for a certain period of time so that they can get a true diagnosis due to the imaging. That was something that was shared at one of the hot topic sessions. And just remember that when you're talking to other patients, what your treatment is and what their treatment is, it might be a little different based off of your cancer properties. So just remember, ask questions, but get informed information.